Hey everybody, welcome to the Kolossal Games Twitch channel. We're going to be streaming the solo version of our next Kickstarter, All Manor of Evil. The Kickstarter launches tonight at midnight, so the first full day will be Halloween Day, as I'm sure you'll understand as I get deeper into the theme. All Manor of Evil is from Travis Chance, our fearless leader here. It's one of his personal designs. And it involves players taking on the roles of thieves breaking into the manor of famed author H.P. Lovecraft. We will not go into great detail about the multiplayer game, as this is just a demonstration of the solo version, but in all versions of the game, players take on a role that would be familiar to those of you who know something about the mythos. So they can play as like a medium, burglar, mystic, investigator, etc., etc. Now these are roles that tend to be more on the quote-unquote good side, and that'll make more sense as I get into it a little further. In the normal version of the game with more players, they can also take on the role of characters such as cultists and zealots and things like that. And so there are some of the, everybody wants to steal the most valuable relics, but everybody also has a secret agenda, which will make a little more sense as I describe the game further. Now, for the purposes of the solo game, I will be playing as only one of these roles where you have the appropriate player count, which is shown here at the bottom. So most of them are usable at 1 or 2. In this case, these are usable at 1, so these are who I'll have to choose from. So I will be playing as the Mystic. So some of this information won't make complete sense yet, but suffice it to say, if at the end of the game I have the fewest madness tokens, I will score 4 points. So we'll come back to that shortly. Now, unlike the multiplayer version where you're competing against other players, in this I'll only be competing against the game. Although there will be 2 quote-unquote players that I'm competing against in different ways. Now, normally in a game of All Manor of Evil, the players are stealing relics that at the end of the game will provide madness and points. All right, so just to give you an example of what some of the relics look like, we have items like this. All right, so down here on the left in the purple is the madness value of a relic. As you can see, there's a few variations out here, 1, 2, 2, and 0. And then on the right is the point value of the relic at the end of the game, its value in money, so to speak. And we have 2, 0, 3, 0, and there's many different values. Now, those are the primary values you'll see. You'll definitely see them on every relic. However, as you can see, some of them have text boxes, which you'll have to resolve when you steal the relic. And some of them have other iconography up here. Let me actually find a different example as well. So up here you'll see this pie graph, and that will indicate if it adds or removes awakening tokens to the Elder Gods. And I'll discuss that in a little more detail here momentarily. And then this other icon up here indicates the number of madness tokens a player will have to take when they when they steal that relic and add it to the top of their cache. So I mentioned the Elder Gods. So any of you familiar with Lovecraftian lore, Cthulhu mythos stuff, surely have at least heard of Cthulhu. It's hard to be a gamer and have not heard of that. But we have several of them, and they are all up here. They've been divided into 3 colors: green, blue, and yellow. And as I showed on one of the relics here, from that pie graph, you can see the different colors. And that'll indicate whether it's added or removed and to which color and what. For the purposes of the solo game, we will be playing with Cthulhu, Dagon, and Hastur. Now, these gods have abilities that are relevant should they be awakened in multiplayer versions of the game. However, in the solo play, should any god be awakened, it's an instant loss for the player playing by themselves. So while they have text and abilities, those are not relevant to what we'll be doing here. So now that I've selected them, as you can see, each of the gods have 3 little tentacle covered tokens on them. These are what are called awakening tokens. And at the end of any round, should a god have 6 or more awakening tokens on it, it is then awakened. And in the regular game, that would be the end of the game, and we would resolve its effect as part of the end game. In the solo game, if that occurs, then I lose immediately. Just for quick reference, should more than one god be awakened in the multiplayer version, all players lose immediately. So, it's a little twist that these guys are bad news, and the more familiar you are with the mythos, the more you can appreciate the dark comedy involved in more than one god being awakened and everybody losing altogether. Now, the game is certainly not a co-op, but, things can go badly enough that it's bad for everybody. So I've selected the Mystic at random. We will see which cultist we're playing against. The blue cultist, so I'm going to go ahead and rearrange these gods up here so that he will be closest to the god that he favors. Now, of course, he's happy if any of them are awakened. Now, you can play as one of these cultists in the multiplayer game, but for the purpose of the solo game, his ability is only relevant in that it indicates which god he favors, which will dictate his options to add, subtract, remove, etc. He would prefer the blue god be awakened, and he will do that at all costs if possible. Now, over here on this side, you'll see a card that says the author. Now, contained within the game are a number of Lovecraft cards. There are different versions. They're primarily used in the 2-player variant, but in the solo game, we use simply the author to no effect, and we'll be competing against him as well. Now, as I said, the 2 things that players will be gaining throughout the game when they steal relics are points or value and madness. Now, in the solo game, I will be competing to have less madness at the end of the game than the blue cultist, and more points than the author, Lovecraft himself. So, how are we going to do that? Well, it's going to be through stealing relics from the manor and performing various actions. So, I'm going to go ahead and set the game up at its starting level of difficulty. Because I have worked on this game a great deal in my time here at Kolossal, in particular the solo version, I'm going to select the hardest difficulty shown in the rule book, which, while it's the hardest one we've listed, if you happen to be too good for the game, it can be scaled up till it is unbeatable. And so I'll show you how to set that up right now. What I'm shuffling here is the relic deck. So when playing at any level, you will deal Lovecraft a number of relics face down into his cache at the start of the game, and you will not be aware of how many points he starts with. Now, as I've chosen Doomed, the hardest level that we officially name in the book, he's going to begin the game with 6 relics face down, and I have no idea what he has or how many points. It could be that they're all 0 value. It could be that they're all 3 or even higher. So the average is probably somewhere around 2, 2.5. So he's probably starting the game, in the neighborhood of 12 points down there. But I really don't know. That's part of the mystery, part of the excitement of the game. Now, when setting up the rest of the deck, as I mentioned, the game can end if gods are awakened. The other way the game can end is if the 2 clock cards are revealed. Now, these cards are going to be shuffled into the bottom quarter of the deck. So the first thing I'm going to do is, for the solo game, I'm going to cut the remaining relic deck in half. Now, this occurs after Lovecraft has been assigned his scoring, his secret relics. So that's pretty close. We're going to remove that without looking at it. Then I'm going to break this into roughly 4 equal piles. Now for the version I'm showing here, you may wonder, well, why would you do these 4 piles if you're only going to shuffle into the bottom quarter of the deck? There are other more advanced versions of the solo game and other games, or other versions of the game, where things will be added to these at the time. So, and there are some that will be available to be added to the solo game. So it's best to just maintain consistency in setup. So I'll go ahead and shuffle these into what will be the bottom quarter of the deck. Right here. Shuffle those piles and place them on top. So I don't know exactly when those clocks will come up, but I know that they will appear in the bottom quarter of the deck. And that will be the end of the night. And hopefully I will have less madness than the Cultist, more points than Lovecraft, and win the game. Otherwise, it'll be a horrific ending. So I begin the game with 1 relic in my cache, a skeleton key. This is just to facilitate some of the action options that are available. It has 1 point and 0 madness. The Cultist also begins with 1. The Cultist begins the game with 1 madness token, and I begin the game with 18. Now this is because I chose to play at the doomed level, and Lovecraft has been given 6 items. If you ever get good enough at it to beat it at this level and you want to continue scaling play up, simply for every card that you assign to Lovecraft's cache in secret, you take 3 madness tokens. So if I wanted to step it up even from here, the next step would be to give him 7, and for me to take 21 madness tokens. Now I will tell you that in playtesting, no one has beaten it at that level. So that is why Doomed is the highest listed. However, it is theoretically possible to win even higher than that. It just hasn't been done. So if you ever want to take that on, you may see what you can do and send us videos yourself after you get a copy of the game, and show us how you can beat it at that level. So now the game is pretty much set up. The way a round would begin is we fill each room in the manor. So we have the attic, the basement, the foyer, and the library with a relic from the top of the deck. So what do we have? We have the Rite of Zoth, which is 2 madness, 0 points. The Jade Amulet, 3 points, 1 madness. Jade Tome, 3 points, 2 madness. And the Rite of Ling, 2 madness, 0 points. Now they all also, except for the Jade Amulet, have game text, and so we'll have to consider that when we make our decision on what to steal and what to assign and how to make it through the round. So how does the round work? Now in the multiplayer game, this will be simultaneous action selection. Obviously, as I'm playing by myself, there will be no such thing. But I will show you on top of the relics for the moment the 4 action choices that are available to me. I have Pilfer, Deceive, Study, and Inspect. Now, the anatomy of these cards they have their name, an initiative number, 1 through 4, which is only relevant in multiplayer games, the action ability, and then 2 rooms listed at the bottom. Now those 2 rooms are the rooms from which you must steal when time to resolve that. So normally, as I said, it would be simultaneous selection if there were more than just one player, and then they would be resolved in order of initiative, also using a tiebreaker should there be ties, and then players will steal from one of the rooms shown. However, in the solo game, it's going to operate a little differently. I will reveal an action that I'm choosing to play, and then I will immediately take the top part of that card, resolving the action card action, or ability I should say, and then I begin resolving the rooms from my left to right: attic, basement, foyer, and library. Now I have 4 options. If I can steal the card for myself, adding it to the top of my cache, resolving its icons and abilities accordingly. I can give it to the Cultist and put it on top of his cache, resolving its abilities and icons accordingly, and doing so from his point of view with a few special rules to ensure that he makes decisions in certain ways so that I can't just cheat the game and always make it what's best for me. Or I can assign a card face down to Lovecraft where the ability is simply buried. It does not resolve, but of course it will add to his point total. And the other option, the fourth option, is to leave the card be. Now, I only get to do each of these one time, and the room from which I steal must be one of the two shown on my card. So, I have to be careful about what relics I see and what action I choose. I may find myself in a position where the action I would like to choose is not the one that allows me to actually take the relics I would prefer. Now, I mentioned giving relics to the Cultist and Lovecraft. So, should I manage to prevent any of the gods being awakened and the game ends due to both clocks being revealed, I will then compare madness with the Cultist. If I have equal to or greater madness than the Cultist, I lose immediately. My points don't matter. I've been driven insane by my night of trying to steal relics from the Manor of Lovecraft, and I just lose the game instantly. Should I manage to be more sane than the Cultist, I will then compare the value on all of my relics with those of Lovecraft and resolve my roll ability, any points I may get from that. And if I have more greater than or greater than Lovecraft's total, I win. So just to recap, should any god be awakened, I lose. Should I tie or have greater madness than the Cultist, I lose. Should I tie or have fewer points than Lovecraft, I lose. So there's a lot of pressure pushing down on me in a very short amount of time to try to overcome all three of those things, and also not turn into a tasty morsel of one of the elder gods. So we're ready to get started here, and I will try to maintain commentary as we go. Kolossal Games tech wizard and graphic designer Chris Beyer is managing the computer and the camera over there. So before we get started, are there any questions at all, Chris? No questions yet? All right. Well, I will address pretty much anything else at the end when we have a little recap. And by all means, feel free to ask any questions you have about the solo game or All Manor of Evil as the Kickstarter whole, or just the game at whole at the end, and I'll be happy to answer anything that I can. All right, so here we go. Let's see. Probably do that. Which means do it like that. All right. So I will select the Deceive action. I get to exchange the top relic of my cache with any relic in the manor. So, as I mentioned, I'm mostly stealing. However, in this case, exchange, I will not be activating any of the iconography or any of the text on the card. I'll simply be placing it on top of my cache. So I'm going to exchange the Jade Amulet and place the skeleton key in that room. Now I ignore its command via icon to add an awakening token to the green god because I simply exchanged. So now I start at the attic, the Rite of Zoth. So the option that it provides are add or remove one awakening token to each god. And it's 2 madness, no points. Well, I'm going to take a bit of a risk here, and I'm going to go ahead and give that to the Cultist. And now it's important to note, whenever the Cultist in the solo game can add or remove, he adds. So he's going to add 1 awakening token to each of the gods. It's a high-risk decision there, but that 2 madness plus the 1 token he has takes him to 3 right away. I've already stolen this 1 item. Well, I've not stolen it, but I've taken it. So I'm at 19. So I've got a lot of work to do on the madness front to defeat the Cultist. I come to the basement, and that is one of the rooms that I can steal from with Deceive. So I will go ahead and steal my skeleton key back for that nice 1.0 madness. And I will assign the right, I will leave the Jade Tome in the foyer, and I will give the right of Ling to Lovecraft because it's 0 points to madness. Now, Lovecraft is completely unaffected by madness in the solo game, but I am concerned about his point total, so I'm glad to give him 0 as well as bury a dangerous effect that was on that card. All right, so that would be the end of a round. Now, if at this point any of the gods had 6 awakening tokens, they would awaken and I would lose the game immediately. So that's what I mean when I say the end of a round. All right, now we go ahead and reveal the cards off the top to fill in the empty rooms, and we'll begin a new round. All right, so we have a Lapis Lazuli Talisman, an ancient artifact, a Jade Tome, and a Warding Stone. Now notice, my Deceive card has remained out. For the rest of the game, I'll only have 3 options to choose from. So I'm going to have to juggle my actions accordingly to my best advantage as I can. Whew, man, that is some ugly stuff. All right, we will start pounding away on that pile of madness tokens. So I'm going to play my Study card. The ability on it is to lose up to 3 madness tokens, so I resolve that immediately. And now I start resolving the rooms in order. So I can steal from the attic or the library. Whew, that is going to be something. We don't want to do that. We don't want to do that. So it looks like we're going to do that. I will leave the card in the attic. I will give the ancient artifact to the cultist because he gains 1 madness token. Sure, it gives him 2 points, but I don't care how many points he winds up with. I will give Lovecraft the Jade Tome, which is exciting because it gives him 3 points, but I don't want that ability going off and adding another awakening token to the green god just yet. And I will steal from the library, taking the Warding Stone. So that's going to allow me to lose 1 madness token, place it on top of my cache, and I get to add 1 madness token to any room in the manor. So where do I think I'm going to steal from next time? I think we will put that in the attic and leave that for somebody else on the next turn. By somebody else, I mean the cultist. All right, time to refill the rooms. We have an obsidian idol, the Rite of Carcosa, and the Rite of Riley. All right. So, man, oh man, what do we think about that? That's pretty good. Those are all pretty scary madness-wise, though. Okay, we like that. I'm going to use Inspect here. And the ability of Inspect is to reveal the top card of the deck and steal that card if it is a relic. So a bit of a gamble here. And it's the Jade statue. So it's add or remove 1 awakening token to the green god. So we will go ahead and remove. Otherwise, it's only 1 madness, 1 point. So I gained against Lovecraft, perhaps, but not necessarily good against the cultist. Now I'm going to have the cultist steal from the attic. So he takes the 1 madness token on the room, the 2 madness tokens associated with the relic, and then he gets to resolve the effect, which is to add 1 awakening token to the blue god. So given that he's the blue cultist, I'm sure he's very excited. All right, the basement, we will leave that card, and I will steal. Whew. I will steal from the foyer, which means I get to take the Rite of Carcosa, which gives me 1 madness token, and I duplicate the effect of the action card I played this round. So I steal off the top, and it's the Obsidian Statue. Add or remove 1 awakening token from any god, and it's 2 madness. So we're piling up the madness here. We're going to go ahead and remove from the blue god, and then I will go ahead and give the Rite of Riley to Lovecraft. So a little worried about how things are going so far here. Let's see. Refill the room. Okay, that's good. So we have an ancient artifact, an obsidian idol, a forbidden tome, and the Rite of Zoth. Ooh. All right. That almost absolutely has to be what we do. All right, this is going to be a deceive. I will exchange the obsidian statue with the forbidden tome. As a result, I don't activate its ability or anything, and I do not have to take the madness tokens. So I just traded effectively a 2 madness, 1 victory point item in for a 1 madness, 3 victory point relic. So obviously that's a nice trade for me. I will then steal from the attic, taking 1 madness token, but it's 2.0 madness at the end of the game. We're still a little worried here. And then we will definitely go into high-risk territory and let the blue cultist steal the obsidian idol and move 1 awakening token from 1 god to another god. So he will always move from the one with the fewest in a situation such as that. And in this case, he always chooses to favor his own if it's a choice. So Cthulhu will lose 1, and he'll add it to Dagon, taking him up to 5 awakening tokens. So this is a pretty dangerous situation. We'll leave the obsidian statue in the foyer, and we will give the Rite of Zoth to Lovecraft. Okay, that is going to make things a little close. Ancient Tome, Warding Stone, and an Elder Sign. Well, we are happy to see the Elder Sign. Oof, man, we will be leaving that. So, this is going to be an interesting turn. I will play Study. I will remove 3 of my own madness tokens. We will leave the card in the attic. I will give Lovecraft the Warding Stone, so it's not resolved. Which doesn't make me happy to give him another 2 points. Now I will let the blue cultist steal the obsidian statue, add or remove 1 awakening token from any god. So they will choose the blue god, which is now at 6. But I will steal the Elder Sign from the library, and I get to remove from any god, settling Dagon back down to 5. So obviously that was the last room at the end of the round. Had I not been able to do that, Dagon would have been awake and I would have lost the game immediately. So this shows you what a close balancing act has to take place in the solo game. And it may still not be enough. Alright, new round. Warding Stone, Lapis Lazuli Tome, and Lapis Lazuli Idol. Oh, well, that's a lot of stuff that adds to the blue god. Whew. Okay. So, let's see. We like that. It's going to have to happen. Alright, we're going to use Deceive again. I'm going to switch the Elder Sign into the attic, taking the Ancient Tome, not resolving any of its iconography or abilities. Then I will start resolving the rooms. I will steal the Elder Sign and remove another awakening token from the blue god. Thank goodness. Lovecraft. we're going to leave the warding stone in the basement. I'm going to allow the blue cultist to steal the lapis lazuli tome for 3 points and 2 madness, and they're going to add 1 back to the blue god, so still at 5. And then I'm going to give the lapis lazuli idol to Lovecraft, stifling its effect, but giving him 2 points. So we dodged any gods being awakened there, but still riding right on the edge. Another blue god affecting card, lapis lazuli statue. Oh, the first clock. That is possibly good and bad news because I need a little more time. Amber tome and the Rite of Riley. Whew, that was an early clock there. Okay, so if the next clock is revealed, the game ends immediately. So we'd like to get rid of a little bit more of this madness. Man, the only card that scares us is that. All right, so study it is. Get rid of 3 madness tokens. Then, how to assign the rooms. Well, we're definitely not doing that. So it looks like we're stealing from the attic. And I will remove 1 awakening token from the blue god. Then I will leave the warding stone. Give the amber tome to the blue cultist, so they get to add an awakening token to the yellow god. Now he's at 5. Now understand, even though I'm playing against the blue cultist, even if the yellow god is awakened, I lose immediately. So I have to keep an eye on that. And then I will give the Rite of Riley to Lovecraft, so he gets 0 points. Okay, so now this could be the last turn because we've already seen the first clock. Lapis lazuli statue, ancient mask, and the cursed effigy. So this will probably, well, it will definitely be the last turn of the game. Now, just a little thing for me to consider, my role with the mystic, should I make it to the second clock, which it's looking pretty likely that I will score 4 additional points if I have the fewest madness tokens. Unfortunately, right now I have 10, and the blue cultist has 5, so it seems very unlikely that I'll be able to activate that victory or bonus condition should I make it to the clock. So let's see here what to do. I'm a little worried. That feels like it's almost certainly something that has to be done.
Be careful.
Let's see. Why is this undone? We don't want to do that. Maybe we do want to do that. Yeah, this is a pretty tough one right here. I think we're going to have to do that. See, I'm very concerned about having about my madness comparison to the cultist right here. So we're going to have to take some risks here. We're going to play Pilfer. I get to add a madness token to any room. I'll place it on the foyer. I will give the addict. Oh, that is yeah, we did the right thing. I give the lapis lazuli statue to Lovecraft since it's only 1 point. I will let the cultist steal the ancient mask, taking the madness token. Now, because this references the role in here, we simply ignore the text in the solo game when it's given to the cultist. But it is 4 points and 2 madness for them, which I don't care about the cultist points. So hopefully that'll be enough madness to push them over what I have. And then I will steal the cursed effigy. I get to lose 1 madness token and place this relic on top of another player's cache, which I will also place that on top of the cultist there, and hopefully that is enough. So now we go to refill the manor, Lovecraft's letters, that is a prototype art placeholder, and the second clock, so the game is over. So none of the gods were awakened. And it's time to compare madness and points. So I'm going to go ahead and clear off the manor here and do it out where you can see it a little better. I have 9 madness tokens, so I did not manage to get fewer madness tokens than the blue cultist. So I will not be able to activate my mystic scoring ability, unfortunately. So I have 9 madness. Then I simply spread the items in my cache out as such, so we can see the madness on all of them. As you can see, by laying them this way, you'll be able to count them up, and only those with madness will show. Well, they'll all show, but you'll be able to see their values clearly and add them up. All right, so I have 9 madness tokens. This makes 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 total madness. All right, 15 total madness for the Mystic. Will that be low enough? It's going to be close. All right, the blue cultist has 6 madness tokens. Now let's check out those items. 2, so 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. So yes, I did manage to have less madness. That was a big final turn there where I dropped about 5 more madness on them, or it would have been a tie, and of course I would lose that tie and the game would be over right now. I wouldn't even get to total my points against Lovecraft. So the cultist has been defeated, and now we will see how I fare against the author himself. All right, so we will simply do the same spread out here, but this time leaving the points side open. So I have 3, 4, 6, 7, 10, 12, 16, 17, 18 total points. I could be in trouble here. 18 total points for the Mystic. Oof, he had some big numbers buried in that first 6. I might be in trouble. 3, 6, 7, 10, 14, 15, 18, 20, 22, 23. Now, how many did I say for me? 18? 1, 2, 6, 8, 11, 12. Yeah, 18. Not good enough. Defeated by the author in his own home. And that's how it goes. Just for those of you who are keeping track at home, the first 6 cards assigned to Lovecraft, of which I was not aware, were a 3, a 3, a 1, a 3, a 4, and a 1. So that's 8, 9, 15 points he began the game with. And I only assigned to him another 8 myself. But, you know, that's the challenge of playing at the higher level. You have to be very careful. You don't know what Lovecraft begins the game with. And so in my desperate struggle to dump things on him that I did not want to occur and try to get under the cultist in madness, I simply wasn't able to accumulate enough points. So this is a win for the game. So as you can see, it's quite challenging, and you don't know right until the very end how exactly it's going to play out. Have we gotten any questions, Byron?
Nope.
Okay, well, again, as I said, the game wins, so that gives you some idea of how difficult it can be, even at the highest level that we officially name. But hopefully you found that interesting, and if you're a fan of solo games, you can see that this one provides a fun and relatively quick experience. Obviously, it's going to take a little longer since I've been giving commentary and trying to explain how to play, but the solo game generally plays in between 10 and 15 minutes. So
I mean,
that's
you're at 45 minutes with talking through your moves a
and an
rules explanation at
explanation.
the start.
Yeah, so 20 minutes or less is almost guaranteed playtime for the solo game in this. That's assuming that you play it to its conclusion. Um, so if you like what you see, please check us out on Kickstarter. The campaign launches tonight, as I said earlier, at midnight, and the first full day is all of Halloween for the horror theme that we're excited to share with the game. And as I said, it's All Manor of Evil. You can check us out on Board Game Geek. Be sure to thumb our articles and comment and ask any questions you have. We're always excited to talk with our fans and followers and gamers alike because we're all big fans of it ourselves. And join us on Thursday for a multiplayer stream right here on the Twitch channel where Travis, the designer, will also participate. And we'll see if I fare any better against him than I did the author in this solo play. So thanks for joining us, and check out the campaign, and thanks for watching.